Alright, so let's play some Tales of Tribute featuring the Almalexia deck. It's about I played a couple of games with her before this. I managed to reach the Void Steel rank. I'm only playing one game a day, so for time issues, so I mean, I'm not trying to go for a high rank or anything, just having fun. Feel free to watch this video at double speed because this is a 20-minute video in which I am going to talk about my thoughts about the Almalexia deck, Almalexia Patron. In general, I feel like she is a support deck, very supporting deck. It's a lot like the Sijic power, and a bit like Rajin as well, in the sense that she doesn't have the greatest time of winning by herself. Unlike the other patrons, like, Anse is pretty straightforward. Just buy all the power cards and win. Hlalu is definitely capable of winning with the Hlalu power. Crows, Reachman, they're all very capable of winning by their own. But Almalexia is much more of a support deck in that she cycles, basically. And what you can see I'm doing here is I'm using the power to try to screw my opponent, get rid of the 2 treasures since I have an extra card left over. And she's basically Rajin 2, but unfortunately not quite as able to make gold as Rajin, because Rajin has obviously some of the very powerful early game cards, the one that gives 4 gold or 5 gold that you can buy early on, that which will completely change a game. She is, yeah, I would describe Almalexia as a sort of combination between the Belarus Sijic patron and the Rajin patron. So far I am going to feature this video because I am playing Almalexia mainly, or I'm trying to play Almalexia mainly. So previous games that I've played, I have not really, I wouldn't say it's a good feature of Almalexia's gameplay. So I'm picking Almalexia cards and seeing how that goes. Or rather, I'm trying to pick the best card, and most often they turn to be Almalexia cards. Obviously, picking up that Dreaming Cave there by my opponent is very useful. It's one of the best cards in the game. And we're obviously both going for the Crow cards because that's how you're going to win the game based on the current patrons that are showing up. It's going to be very hard to win if you focus just on Sijic by itself, or Rajin by itself, or even Almalexia by itself. There's only one particular card that Almalexia will eventually lead you to winning, and it's that one right there, Philanthropy. The 3-cost card that gives you 1 power every time you discard a card. If you manage to get a couple of these early on and just spam Almalexia, then it's very possible to win via power using that. But other than that, Almalexia is more of a delaying deck, a very controlling deck that lets you cycle through your cards very quickly. To use a Magic the Gathering term, cycle means to discard and draw a card, essentially. And that's what we're doing. The basic, that Festival of Forbearance card is the basic unit of Almalexia decks. It's your standard, something that gives 2 gold that you can buy early on, so that you can buy cooler cards at a later stage. I'm trying to go for that Mother's Mercy because it's one of the better cards. If you have a good deck going, it lets you basically get 1 card back from your cooldown pile into your hand. It's basically it's a better version of the Hunding power, the Hunding card, which rather than putting it directly into your hand, brings it from your cooldown to the top of your deck. So it's good. It's just a very good card, especially if you are trying to get some combos going. So in the sense, Almalexia, it helps to improve your deck a bit by combos. I'm trying to go for Almalexia Crows at the moment because obviously Crows are insanely good. But at the same time, Almalexia decks tend to be a bit slower. As you can see, we're already like a couple of rounds in, and we haven't really been generating too much power. We're too busy trying to screw each other and slow each other down. Now in this case, I happen to get, yeah, he he just gets rid of that. That's fine, but you know, he reveals a Crow. That's an easy pick for me. I'm almost certainly gonna buy that Crow card. I might have wanted to save 1 coin so that I could use the Almalexia power to discard a card and try to screw my opponent, but in this case I just use a treasury because, you know, it's useful to have the Rid of Coin available as well. I suppose you could say it's less important in the Almalexia deck because you can use your donate ability to get rid of your useless 1 gold coins and try to cycle to your actually good cards. But at this stage of the game, I would say I am a little better off because I have a couple more important cards than he does. My opponent just has a couple of... The best card is the Dreaming Cave and that Philanthropy card that he has gathered. The rest is quite unremarkable. He hasn't found any money cards of a significant source. I mean, he did buy the Crow card early, but that Crow card is not very good by itself without support, and I have a couple more Crow cards than he does, so I'm just chilling at the moment. I mean, that what he bought is potentially good. I mean, it helps cycle through your deck, sure. Not cycle, but scry, you know, look at the top cards and get rid of the useless cards, but that's the difference between Psijic and Almalexia. Psijic finds it quite hard to draw cards, actually. The only thing that draws cards in Psijic is the Dreaming Cave, whereas Almalexia plays sort of like a more manual Psijic. Like you can't auto play cards anymore. You have to like keep your cards in your hand and slowly donate cards over and over again. In this case, just go Crows. That one is a pretty obvious pick. No need to think about it. Just go Crows. Win the game. And probably the question that remains is whether I want to use my Almalexia power to try to make his draws worse, or would I rather... it's potentially correct to have bought the Pool of Shadow first, but not too big a deal. I am almost certainly going to buy the Pool of Shadows. The only question is, what do I want to do after that? In this case, I could have Slate of Handed away the Festival of Forbearance, 4-cost Almalexia card, because that's probably what my opponent's going to pick, to be honest, but in this case, eh. Other alternative was... I'm not even sure that was correct, but I don't even think there's that many Crow cards. But yeah. Obviously insanely good draw. We're just drawing Crows all the time. I think the best card to pick for my opponent would probably be Festival of Forbearance. Not to say Prescience is also quite good. If he wants to buy stuff. I mean, no one really wants to buy the contract agents on the side there, mainly because you really need a lot of Almalexia for them to be useful. By themselves, they're not great. They're good at confining cards, but they are quite easily killed. We both have available to us some amount of power generation. Like if he bought that, I think he knows that I have Crow cards that can quite easily kill them. The other thing that's in play here is that we have a lot of agent killing effects going on. The Psijic patron power lets you kill an agent for 4 gold, so that is one reason why you may not want to buy agents this game. And I also picked Rajin to go with the Almalexia because Rajin is also very well known for killing agents, and Almalexia is all about agents. It would be definitely interesting to see a game that did not involve the powers or decks that had a more difficult time dealing with agents. That would make the Almalexia... that's a very good card, by the way. That agent, 2 gold, and generates, and it just stays on the board. Very annoying. As I was saying, agents. If you want to try to have a deck that is a good matchup against Almalexia, you want something that can kill agents, basically. Either Psijic or Rajin would be the best things that come to mind. But to be honest, I haven't really encountered a situation where Almalexia agents have the chance to. They're mostly a delaying tactic. They're delaying and they will slowly win you the game, very very slowly. There are other decks which can win faster, but I mean that's the point of Almalexia. It's a very controlling type of matchup here. I'm probably gonna Slate of Hand, swipe, and swap something out to see if I get anything better. Yeah, definitely. Yes, I am very good. I buy that, discard a card, and try to screw my opponent a bit more. I mean, yeah, I'm not quite sure what the best thing. I should technically be checking what kind of stuff he has in his deck, but so far we are still mostly treading water and not really generating too much power. I mean, we're already like 10 minutes in, and we have 10 power each. It's definitely, if you're picking Almalexia, be prepared to play a slower game. We are just basically vying for. Yeah, we're just basically vying for good cards. We don't have an overwhelming advantage at the current moment. He does have the Philanthropy. That's the one card, if I do see it, that's the card I really, really would like to see. He got a... Alright, get to draw one, discard one for me, fine. But the card that I'm really looking for right now are power generation cards of some kind. That's pretty much it, because we have quite a number of donate Almalexia style cards, so we're both looking mainly for the Crow cards to win the game at this point in time. Let's see, I'm looking for... If you pick out some Crows, that Mother's Mercy would be very good because... that Mother's Mercy would be very, very good because we have a Crow in the graveyard that he used the Almalexia power to get rid of. So we are mainly just cycling to look for Crows. Yeah, I don't want this Slate of Hand. Let's just get some Crows going here. There we go. We got a Crow, so we can bring back Mother's Mercy to get a Pool of Shadows back. And it's a good way to keep going, generating lots of gold here. I could get the Rings Guile, but I don't think I got any Thief. I don't think I got any Rajin use this time, so... well, I'm not gonna say that. Pounce and Profit is good. I don't really have anything better to do, so I just give him a Curse, but to be honest, Curse against Sijic is not the greatest matchup because Sijic has so much scry. They'll just look at the top of the deck and just flip all the curses to the bottom. So it's not that useful, I have found. However, in this case, as you can see, we have a couple of annoying agents in the way of him. He is going to need to get rid of them. In this case, he can use the Sijic power and his power to kill one of them, but if he does that, he kind of can't buy the Pounce and Profit, which is one of the best cards to get early as Rajin. Oh well. Well, I mean, what can you say? It's a Crow. I want the Crow. But despite all my Almalexia cards, I was unable to get to scrounge out the 6 necessary to get it, so I guess I'm stuck getting Pounce and Profit, which is a perfectly fine card as well. I think that's the pick for this case. We're still slowly gaining power because of all the incidental stuff that we have. A couple of Almalexia cards, a couple of Crow cards. We're still fairly even, but I think I have the better deck quality at the moment. His deck has a lot of Sijic cards. Sijic cards are great for looking through your deck in order to find the good cards, but he doesn't quite have as many Crow cards as I do. So I would say his deck is focused a bit of Sijic, a bit of Almalexia, and a bit of Crows, but mostly Sijic. That's what he picked early. He got the Dreaming Cave early. My deck, I have a couple more Almalexia cards, which generate a good amount of gold, a good amount of cycling, and I have a good amount of Crows to back it up as well. So that is something to take note of. Another thing that could be interesting here with regards to the Almalexia deck is that it's one of the easier patrons to go for patron victory for. It's not very hard to just activate it when it's neutral or unfavored, so you can get it within your favor quite soon. Of course, in this particular game, it's a bit harder to get patron victory going because the Sijic extremely hard to get your... It requires your opponent to be playing agents essentially, so that's tricky. But Almalexia Patron Power is actually a bit subtle. When both of you are neutral, you only need to discard a card in order to use it. That's it. It doesn't cost any gold. But when you are favored by Almalexia, it's actually harder to gain her favor or to use the power. Oh, I want the Philanthropy very bad because my whole deck is basically Almalexia cards and Crow cards. So if I get that, I'm gonna get 1 power every time I play an Almalexia card. Whenever I discard a card, essentially, it will grant a lot of power in the long run. It's a very good card that I was looking for. And as I was saying, patron-wise, if Almalexia is favoring you, it's actually harder to use a power. You need to spend 1 gold and discard a card in order to look at the top 5 cards of your opponent's deck. So it's actually a bit stronger. Whereas if you are unfavored by Almalexia, she will accept just a single gold. You don't need to discard anything, just pay 1 gold, and she will look at the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. And you can pick 1 to toss into the cooldown pile if you want. So it's definitely an interesting... It's a very interesting patron power. I think it's good to use at almost every instance. But especially if you have the better economy going. If you have extra cards to throw away or extra gold, it's very good for screwing your opponents and stopping them from getting all the key cards that make their deck run. In my opponent's case, he is in quite a bit of trouble now because I have a crap ton of Crow cards and gold generating cards, and I think my deck is just running a little better than his. He has a lot of Scry, which is fine, but not a lot of card draw. And yeah, I mean, even after the nerf with Necrom, Crows are still one of the most powerful patrons in the game, if you can get this kind of momentum going and combos going, bar none. So I mean, here we are, we're gonna buy the Crow almost certainly. We are gonna also just screw my opponent. Tola Silver, actually it might be possible that the Sijic Dreaming Cave is the better pick here, but you know, I just drew that, so let's just get rid of the I don't think I want to donate that, actually. I'm still thinking about it. Actually no, I should try to find a Crow because I got a Claw, so if I find another Crow card, then I'll get lots of... then we can confine the Dreaming Cave. So we've confined 2 of his good cards, Dreaming Cave and the Crow thing. Yeah, then we can do enough to buy that, screw him, just get rid of that. I'm not even sure that was the right pick, but... I mean, to be honest, the turn before this, or before the turn started, I was thinking of trying to win. But the 2 Crow cards were way too juicy, way too powerful, so my opponent needs to win this turn, otherwise my next turn is just going to be pretty insane. My deck is just stock full of Crows. I have all these Almalexia cards to help me get to the Crows of my deck. A bit of card draw. So it's going to be very difficult for my opponent to win. And yeah, he kills it. But I think the damage is done, I think the damage is done at this stage. He has been... The Almalexia actually was useful in delaying my opponent and ensuring that I was able to get the cards I wanted in the order that I wanted. So I mean, I don't... See, this is what Almalexia is doing. I'm just getting rid of the shitty cards in order to get to the Crow cards. And once I get to the Crow cards, then I can win. So Crows and Almalexia, good combo. It's a lot like Crows and Sijic. And we have our Philanthropy, which is very good. That will give me even more power every time I discard a card. Although I've run through most of my deck, so it will be worth a little bit more power, but I'm not sure how much more. It's a bit like the Reachman. And in fact, Almalexia against Reachman would be a very interesting matchup because you would be interested to see if you're able to lock up all the good cards so the Reachman is left with 0 cards. But anyways, you can see game is over. I got like 30 power in 1 turn. just by aligning all the crows and Almalexia and whatnot together. I don't think it's possible for my opponent to win at this stage. Don't even need to think about it. If you really want to worry about patron powers, I could have picked up the Tithe first, but I don't think my opponent can win this no matter what he does at this stage. So he's still thinking about it, still playing Dreaming Cave, so maybe he just wants to see what the rest of his deck looks like, but I mean, at this stage, game is over. So, in conclusion, Almalexia, good for looking through your deck. It's a bit of a combination of Psijic and Rajin. It annoys your opponent by getting rid of their good cards from either the draw pile or the cooldown pile, and it cycles through the deck pretty well. It's a support power. It's a very supporty deck. I don't think it can win on its own unless you pick up a lot of the Philanthropy cards. But and the patron power is extremely fun to use. It's one of the more fun patron powers to use. It's almost always good to use. It does delay the game, so I think if both players were using it to the maximum effect, but still a very fun